Hi, hello, welcome back. A long time no see. It's been over 2 weeks since I've last filmed the video, so I'm probably quite rusty. We're just going to do a super chill, low-key get ready with me so that I can get back in the swing of it all. Because to be honest with you, sometimes when I'm away for a really long time, I get lazy, I get in the habit of not filming videos, and I think, how about I just don't do it anymore? But then I really start to think about it, and I'm like, no, we're not quite there yet. But anyway, I'm not quitting YouTube or anything, I'm just feeling a little bit lazy. I'm going to take my Inglot eyeshadow primer because we need to get going, I need to get to work at some point. And we can just shortly catch up. So for those of you who may have missed it, I was on holiday last week. It was spring holiday here for schools, or at least the region where I live. Well, the first week he just went to school for not really to school, but to the care, after school care kind of place. And then the week after we went to visit my family in Sofia. In case you missed it, I live in the Netherlands, but I'm originally from Bulgaria, and my hometown is the capital of Bulgaria, which is the beautiful town of Sofia. For my foundation today, I'm going to take the Estee Lauder Double Wear in the shade 2 and 1. Prior to the pandemic, I used to visit at least 2 to 3 times a year. Well, prior to really having a child, because before I had a child, I really used to go 2-3 times a year. And since having Nicola, we go a little bit less often because it's just so much more of a hassle to go, especially with a baby or a toddler. After the pandemic, obviously for a while we couldn't really travel at all. And since then we have sort of readjusted the way we travel back home, because I usually go on holiday, my summer holidays are usually at the seaside in Bulgaria. But the thing is, Sofia, my hometown, is on the literal opposite side of the country. So the seaside is on the east side, and Sofia is cross country on the west side. And we're talking a good 7-8 hour drive by car. So in prior to last year, we used to just take a 2-week summer holiday and then go to the beach, travel to Sofia, go to the beach, come back, spend a few more days in Sofia. But since last year we decided to do things a little bit differently because, well, multiple reasons. My husband really hates driving for so long, and my dad has gotten too old to drive for such a long time. My dad is already 74, so for him driving for 7-8 hours one stretch at a time is really too much. Not to mention he's been retired for several years, so the man is used to taking several naps during the day, so he really can't pull off a drive of 7 or 8 hours. And like I said, my husband really hates it, so we decided, okay, let's ditch that and just spend a week at the beach and then another week in Sofia separately. An additional reason I don't like to be away for so long anymore is I get really anxious about the cats. I start to miss them, and after the first week, 1 week is the sweet spot for me. After 1 week though, I start to have a lot of anxiety over whether they're okay. I start to obsess over it to the point where I'm constantly looking at the camera to see if I can catch a glimpse of them and they're okay. And that is considering the fact that friends of mine take care of them, so I know that they're fine, but I get into this mindset where I have really irrational fears, and I think, what happened with Bruce definitely made things worse. So I start to really freak myself out after the first week. I'm going to take the Chanel Sublimage concealer to conceal under my eyes. A little bit of a change from the Dior Skin Correct concealer. So about the week is my sweet spot, so we decided, okay, we're going to do a week now in the spring, because I also haven't really been back in my hometown during the spring months in over a decade. So it was actually really lovely to be home, during a season of the year that I haven't really witnessed there for a really long time. Sofia is literally located next to the mountain. The mountain is called Vitosha, and when you grow up next to the mountain, you sort of take it for granted. You're like, yeah, it's the mountain, it's right there, I can see it, whatever, not a big deal. You take hikes in the mountain whenever you want, so you really don't think much of it, you take it for granted. And then you move to the Netherlands, where they don't really have mountains, they have hills at the very best. If you go north in the Netherlands, there will be no hills, there will just be, fields and cows. And if you go south, there will be a couple of hills. I'm taking the Prada rebalancing powder to set my foundation. So it's one of those things that you never really think about and never really excited you prior to starting to miss it. So now when I go home, the first thing I start to marvel immediately is the mountain. And there is one specific spot in town that I always take a picture that I post on Instagram. If you followed me for a few years, you might even have noticed the repetition. But there is this like main shopping street, and if you stand on that main shopping street, you see the mountain beautifully right in front of you, you know, in the not so far distance. I'm going to work the powder on my face with just a dry sponge. So yes, mountains. Anyway, ironically, I never actually visit the mountain when we go there. Like, we never really take a hike. I can't remember the last time I was at the mountain, like actually visiting the mountain to hike a little bit. Maybe with my husband when we showed him the mountain like over 10 years ago. But now with little dude it's also a little bit more difficult because the mountain is not particularly a very interesting place for him. But we agreed next spring when we go again, because I think we want to go again next spring, we're definitely taking a little trip to the mountain. I am going to take my Too Faced laminating brow wax to set my brows. I removed the stopper on this thing because I thought I was closing in on it being finished, and that was a mistake because now the thing is completely coated in product, so I have to be very careful when I apply it. Just like lightly brush a few strokes and then go in with a separate brush and separate my brows really well and take out a little bit of that white residue that would otherwise remain. So don't be like me, don't be too impatient. Other than that, we had a really good time. The weather was pretty lovely. There was only one day when it rained, but it didn't matter because we took Nicola to the theater that day and then we just had lunch in a restaurant and headed home. And for the rest, we just spent a lot of time with my family. You know, visiting your family like this can be lovely but also quite intense and quite tiring, because when you have these like short bursts of time that you spend together throughout the year, you feel like you constantly have to like talk and do things together. And for someone like me who really like requires their downtime and like their peaceful time during the day, it can be quite overwhelming to be so like overly stimulated in a way. So for my bronzer today, I'm actually going to take the Gucci bronzing powder in the shade number 3, and I'm going to demo this specifically for Stephanie. I don't know if she's going to watch this video, but if you're watching, Stephanie, I really wanted to show you how this shade appears on me. So in her latest video, Stephanie talked about the possibility of purchasing one of these bronzers from Gucci, because she's been eyeing them for a really long time and she was really doubting which shade to get. And I have the shade number 3, so I wanted to demo that for her. So this shade of bronzer is more of your like classic bronzery shade. It's not orange, it's definitely not like overly warm. There's certainly enough neutral tones in here so that it doesn't appear orange, but in my opinion this is more of like a classic bronzery type shade, so slightly warm, you know, a bronzery type shade. There are other really beautiful shades in this range though. I know that some of the shades lean a little bit more like red pink, and I personally have, you know, been tempted very many times by the shade, I think 1, which has very light, more like neutral pinky tones to it. But because I have diffused bronze light from Hourglass, I have tried to you know, curb my temptation. But these powders are really gorgeous, you know, they blend out beautifully. They have like this classic blurring effect on the skin, like an effect that a lot of these like luxury powders have on the face. So I just wanted to show you how this bronzer looks, and since I haven't used it on camera in a while, I figured it's a good, you know, combination of factors. I am actually also going to be taking one of my beloved Gucci blushes. I love these. These are my favorite luxury blushes, and this one in particular is also my favorite shade that I have from this line, and that is the shade Soft Red. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, spending time with family when you see each other for short amounts of time can be quite overwhelming, but we did come home to luckily a long weekend, because Monday was the 5th of May, which was Bevrijdingsdag, which is the day of liberation here from, you know, the Nazis in the Second World War. And ironically, the Dutchies only celebrate Liberation Day once every 5 years. They don't celebrate it every year, they only celebrate it once every 5 years. And lucky us, this year was the year that they celebrated. And it was an actual, like, working day, because if it fell on a weekend, we would have been effed and we would not have actually had a free day. They don't really switch around things here so that you have a free day if something fell on the weekend, which they do in a lot of other countries. It's a shame, really. I think that for a country that suffered so much during the Second World War, Liberation Day should be an absolutely epic celebration every year, not every 5 years. But hey, who am I to have an opinion? I'm not even a Dutch citizen, technically. I'm going to highlight with the Dior Couture Luminizer in the shade Nude Glow. I think this is Nude Glow. Yes, which is like your classic champagne gold. I really love the formula of this. This is the what Claudia has now suggested to call hard gelée instead of baked gelée. Since we can't be sure anymore that things have been baked, they might have been dried by alternative methods than baking. We've agreed to call this specific formula hard gelée. We used to call it baked gelée, but you know, potato potato. I really love this highlighter. I like the tone. I love this formula so much. And I haven't also used this highlighter on camera, I feel like, in a while. Well, I do use it off camera a lot, but anyway. So yes, family time was great. What else did I do? Oh yeah, during my holiday I also binge watched The Pit on HBO. You might have heard about it or you may not have heard about it, but it is a medical drama which is essentially, if you guys remember, ER, but then make ER even more realistic than it used to be. Like, don't think Grey's Anatomy or any of these other like more medical drama shows that focus more on the human element and probably get a lot of like the medicine wrong. Apparently, according to ER doctors themselves, so like emergency medicine doctors, The Pit is one of the most realistic shows in terms of how, you know, an ER department is portrayed. I actually finally penned my MAC Fix Plus. You're going to see that in my monthly roundup and empties, which I can hopefully film this weekend. So we are going to start using more consistently now the Airbrush Flawless Finish setting spray from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm still going to spritz it on the sponge, by the way, even though this has a much finer spritzer compared to the one from MAC. But I still feel like I don't like spritzing my face with these fixing sprays. I much rather do it like this with the sponge. I have zoomed you in. We can get started on the eye look, which is going to be a little bit of a mishmash of a variety of different products. One that I feel like I don't talk about enough, but I actually really enjoy, is these liquid silk eyeshadows from Lisa Eldridge. This one is in the shade... This one is in the shade Gaia. That's what I like to call the poopy, browny, goldeny, sandy color. I really like this color. And what I've also mentioned before is I do like to put these a little bit on the back of my hand and then apply them on my lids. So that is what I'm going to do now as well. I'm just going to grab a fluffy brush and transfer the product this way on my lid so that I have control over how much goes on, and just have time to blend without anything drying out. I'm just going to put this all over my lid and we're going to layer some fun sparkle over it. Yes, so The Pit, really wonderful show. Fun fact, if you are familiar with the original ER, Dr. Carter, so the character that was portrayed by Noah Wyle, Noah Wyle is in The Pit. From what I understand, originally they basically wanted to do sort of like a spin-off of ER, like many years later, Dr. Carter many years later, but the estate of Michael Crichton, who wrote the show, wouldn't allow for that, so they decided to, you know, adapt it and call it something different and readjust the story a little bit so that it's not centered around Dr. Carter, but it still features Noah Wyle. The show takes place over the course of like one shift. So the, what is it, 15 episodes that are currently in season 1, they follow the characters through one shift, and each episode is like an hour during that shift. So I thought that was like really interesting, and considering how much happens in those 15 hours, if that really is how, you know, the life of an ER doctor goes, that is like freaking wild. How these people manage to do this job is completely bonkers to me, because it was very intense. Just the amount of things that happened, the amount of, you know, extremely dramatic stories that were portrayed. If that is the case, these people, you know, surviving through each and every shift is a freaking miracle. Noah Wyle was exceptional in this show. If he doesn't get awards for it, if he doesn't get nominated or he doesn't get awards from it, or he doesn't get awards for it, I will find out what his home address is and I will personally make him an award and send it over to him, because the man was absolutely outstanding. One thing I must warn you about though, the show takes quite realistic approach in the depiction of the patients and their traumas. So you are going to be faced with like visuals which might not be according to your taste. If you like your medical shows more in, you know, the line of Grey's Anatomy, where they focus more on the relationships between the doctors and the relationships between the doctors and the patients, and like they don't show that much of like the gory part of being a doctor, especially like ER medicine, you know, they deal with like the worst kind of things. They're the first line when like a huge trauma occurs. Let me grab my sparkly shade that I'm going to put over top of Gaia, which is going to be this beautiful Wycon eyeshadow, Wycon Visionary eyeshadow. So again, one of those like hard gelée shades. This is in the shade 05, which I want to say it's called Rose Golden. It's a really beautiful shade. I really like this because it's like a more subtle version of VR Nectar from Pat McGrath Labs. A really lovely shade. I watched a lot of The Pit on the plane, which, you know, the poor people that had to look at my screen, my apologies to them. But there was one particular episode when we were taking off with the plane on the way back from Sofia. I put on an episode where a lady was giving birth, and I was like, they're not going to show the pits, you know, down there. No, they did. Full-on, full frontal crowning scene. So if you don't like that kind of realism in your medical shows, you might not vibe too much with The Pit. But if you enjoy an intense medical show and you're not too sensitive about the more like gory parts, then I think you're really going to enjoy it. Everyone gave an exceptional performance. You know, I'm mentioning Noah Wiley because he's sort of an old face, and I think he did really, his performance was really stellar. But with that said, I think everyone else on the show was also really exceptional. Now I'm going to, what am I going to do? Oh yeah, I actually want to use Gaia a little bit here to intensify the lash line. So I'm just going to, again, take a little bit from the shade on a little brush like this. This is just like a little smudger brush. And I'm going to use that to concentrate the color a bit more here in the lash line, so that it appears that I have a little bit of like a liner, and you know, it gives a bit more body to my lashes. And I just really like the effect. It looks really pretty. But I'm keeping it very much close to the lashes, nothing crazy. I'm not going to wing it out or anything, just very low-key here. But everyone else was outstanding as well, I have to say. Literally every other character is written so well and performed so well. From what I understand, there was actual like medical stuff on the show, and the doctors, like not the doctors, the actors had to take a 2-week course on how to do a lot of the procedures that they're going to portray, so that they appear as realistic as possible. So, you know, they really did their homework with this show. I'm also going to put a little bit of Gaia here on the lower lashes, just a light touch of that on my lower lashes, and actually also in my waterline. Have you guys already seen The Pit? What did you think about it? Did you enjoy it, or did you think it was a little bit too intense for your taste? I really enjoyed it. I'm not really into like the gory details, but I also like don't mind them too much. I think I just really enjoyed I enjoyed the show. But you know, it's not like a happy fun times show. If you want something that is a little bit more, you know, takes your mind off of things and you're not going to feel all that much, then The Pit isn't going to be that kind of show. The Pit is a bit more intense that way, but at the same time I did find it really enjoyable. You know what, I'm going to take a slightly fluffier brush like this so that I can blend a little bit the shade Gaia here on my lower lashes. I'm going to put a little bit of this Kiko eyeshadow stick in my inner corners. I'm going to just blend that out with my fingers. And I've mentioned that I've started doing this, you know, one so that I can get through this Kiko eyeshadow stick. But two, I've discovered that I just really enjoy the way eyeshadows sit in my inner corner that way, and they just stay a little bit longer because unconsciously rub the inner parts of my eyes a lot during the day. We're going to go now into the Star Wars C-3PO palette, and I'm going to take a shade that's present across a variety of different palettes, but this was just the first one that I could grab for. And the shade I'm referring to is Gold Standard right here from Pat McGrath. It is one of the more controversial golds in her collection because, as you can see, it is a very intensely yellow gold shade, but I like it. I think it looks flattering on me. It's not a shade that I mind particularly, but it certainly isn't going to be for everyone. I also don't think this is the right brush for it, so I'm just going to take this one, which is a little bit fluffier, and I'm going to pop Gold Standard here in the inner corner. Oh, I really like how this look is turning out, and it fits my dress really well. And I am currently watching season 3 of Only Murders in the Building, because I realized that somehow I missed a whole of 2 seasons from the show. I watched season 1 and season 2, I quite enjoyed them, and then apparently I totally skipped season 3 as well, because I thought I only skipped season 4 and I had to catch up on season 4. But when I flipped through the episodes, I realized that I have completely missed season 3 as well, so I'm currently watching season 3. I am enjoying Only Murders in the Building, but I will also reaffirm my original opinion that, you know, the people who carry the show here really are Steve Martin and Martin Short, because they are exceptional, and I just don't get the hype with Selena Gomez. Either she's going for a character which has the emotional range of a teaspoon, or she, as an actress, has the emotional range of a teaspoon. I don't know which one it is because I've not seen Selena Gomez in anything else besides Only Murders in the Building. I'm not familiar with the rest of her like acting and singing career, but what she's giving in Only Murders in the Building is not much. Maybe she's going for this kind of character, like someone who is quite emotionally stunted. I'm not sure, but I sincerely hope that that is not the range she has as an actress, because I don't get it then, you know, I'm confused. Anyway, I'm going to pop on some of the Lisa Eldridge mascara in the shade Burnt Umber, because I think that's going to fit beautifully with this look, and I will show you the lipstick and the finished look in a second. So you guys, this is the final look. I chose to pair it with Cinnabar from Lisa Eldridge because don't tell me that Cinnabar isn't the absolute perfect match for the detailing on my dress. It is this beautiful, you know, orangey, browny, reddy kind of color. I really love it. I really love how the look turned out. It's beautiful. It's so warm toned, a little bit more like fall appropriate, but I'm still really enjoying it. I was quite the chatterbox in the end. I was afraid that once again I'll have a really hard time being in front of the camera, because once I'm out of it for a while, it's really hard to get back into it. But luckily we had enough topics to chat about. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I didn't make your ears bleed. Let me know how you have been. Have you purchased any new fun makeup? Have you been up to something fun? Let's chat in the comment section below. As usual, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!